Good afternoon to you. TV3, it's coming to you live from our news hub here at Absentee Osei, Canada. I'm Nattie Fort to look at the top stories this afternoon. Six alleged Nigerian traders break into several Ghanaian-owned shops at Circle in fresh trade confrontations. Pressure group Freedom Fighters petition Speaker of Parliament to sack MPs who have absented themselves for months. Also ahead this afternoon, Kandahar boys hand over Tamale Teaching Hospital to authorities barely 24 hours after chasing away the CEO. We've got the details of these stories here on Midday Live and some more news from the world of business, sports and entertainment. Our bulletin is streaming live all across the world on 3news.com and TV3 Ghana on Facebook. In our very first story this afternoon, the Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, has issued a 72-hour ultimatum to the National Pensions Regulatory Authority to release its share of the 18 months contributory arrears or incur its wrath. The association says after the ultimatum elapses, it will embark on a strike until the bonds are released to their custodian banks. Addressing the media, General Secretary of the association, David Ofori-Champong, lamented the non-release of the arrears will deprive members their lump sum benefits.
We believe that we have waited for far too long, and it appears that our patience is running out. The following are the strategies we are going to adopt to get the bonds released. We will ask the Trust Board to stop paying fees to the MPRA if they fail to release the bonds. After the 72-hour ultimatum, we would embark on a sit-down strike for the number of days that it will take the MPRA to release the bonds to our custodian bank. 2 weeks after reopening of schools for the first time in the 2018-2019 academic year, we would proceed on work to rule for another 2 weeks. We have been compelled to take this strategy because the MPRA, the regulator, has turned itself into fund manager and custodian. So if the Trust Board has any operational challenges, where do they go for resolution?
And some other top news is this afternoon. Kandahar boys who are affiliated to the MPP who allegedly sacked the CEO of Tamale Teaching Hospital have brought him back to post and handed over the hospital to the authority. This was after the Metropolitan Chief Executive and the police in the region intervened.
Very calm. Fortunately, we are here with the party. So the regional youth commander of the party will also speak. But for me, as the chairman of the Regional Security Council, we want to reassure them, and I want to make it very clear in no uncertain terms that the security will look for the perpetrators of the act and the law will deal with them.
I'm going to support them fully.
Where are your boys now?
Actually, I just flashed down. All right, thank you very much.
By that time, so I didn't have a mayor in charge. There wasn't the regional youth organ. Now there is a new team. The team is set. By that time, it was still at the formative stages of the full complements of government. Now the structures are there, and we are going to use synergy to be able to deal with the situations, and so that some of these unacceptable incidents will not recur.
Now let's stay on this issue further. Christopher Amwako is our reporter in the northern region who's been following the issue closely. Hello, Christopher. Hello, Christopher.
Hello.
Great. So, Christopher, first of all, can you share with us, can you confirm that the CEO of the hospital has returned to work?
Yes, the CEO of the hospital has returned to work, and currently he's in a meeting with the delegation from the Dakwema's Palace.
Now, this is just a few hours after the Kandahar boys locked the office and sent out the CEO. But we understand that they've brought him back to the office. Can you confirm that they brought him back to the office to continue work?
Yes, the CEO, together with the Regional Minister, Honorable Salif Said, the Mayor of Tamale, Idris Superior, and members of the Regional Security Council came to the hospital at about 11 a.m. and opened the office of the CEO, and they entered. After that, the regional team of RESEC met with the hospital staff to assure them of total security at the hospital.
Now, with this delegation that was accompanying the CEO, did you see any members of the Kandahar boys being a part of them?
Yes, we were actually told that the Kandahar boys were coming to open the office, but unfortunately, when we got there, before the office was opened, it was rather the regional minister and the regional security council that opened the office. There was no other person from the Kandahar group that came there.
Now, lastly, Christopher, can you confirm if the police have made any arrest?
So far, no arrest has been made. The police are telling us that they don't know the people who came to commit that, to lock the office, and for that matter, they cannot go ahead to make any arrest. But if the people are ready and are able to provide them with any evidence, they will be able to use that in their investigation to cause any arrest.
Christopher, grateful for your input there. Christopher Marco, reporter from the Northern region. In some other news, founder and general overseer of the International Central Gospel Church, ICGC, Dr. Mensa Osei, has broken his silence on the controversies in the banking sector, specifically his role in the collapse of the Capital Bank as board chairman of the defunct bank. Now, the details of the letter is captured in the following report.
Mensa Osei explained in a statement that during his non-executive role as board chairman of the bank, some decisions that were made turned out well, while some did not turn out well, as had been anticipated. He said everything was done with the best of intentions and the interest of various stakeholders in mind. Notwithstanding, he said since the collapse of the bank a year ago, subjected himself to investigations by state institutions, including the Yoko, as they try to establish the cause of the problem that has since affected the financial sector and caused the loss of jobs in the country. He has meanwhile commiserated with all workers who lost their jobs as a result of the collapse of the bank, noting he has been praying for God's guidance and sustenance as they navigate the course of their lives. Capital Bank, along with another indigenous bank, UT Bank, collapsed in August last year due to liquidity challenges and all their assets taken over by the state-owned GCB Bank.
I'll bring you more on this subsequently, but let's turn to some other stories now. As government intends to construct 10,000 housing units for the security agencies to address its accommodation challenges, the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bamia, made this known when he performed the sod-cutting ceremony for the construction of 320 housing units at the cost of $45 million for the police service at its training school at Tesano in Accra.
The project comprises 102 two-bedroom facility and another 208 three-bedroom apartments for the service. It would have community center, a school, sports and recreational centers. The project is expected to provide 800 direct and indirect jobs. The Vice President, Dr. Muhammadu Bawumia, expressed concern about Ghana's housing deficit, which currently stands at 1.7 million and could rise to 2 million by 2020. He said government intends to roll out another 10,000 housing units for the security agencies to address its accommodation challenges.
As government strives to meet the accommodation needs of the Ghana Police Service, I pray that the service will meet the highest standards of professionalism which is required of them. I urge the Amandi Holdings Group Limited, who are the builders under this project, to continue to show the same levels of efficiency with which they undertook the construction of the previous security housing projects.
The Inspector General of Police, David Asante Apietu, lauded government for facilitating the project.
This project, when completed, will certainly be a morale booster to those personnel who will be accommodated. It will further serve as a source of hope for many who make do with substandard structures.
Minister for Works and Housing Samuel Atachia underscored the need for providing befitting accommodation for the security services.
I'm in active collaboration with my colleague Minister for Interior that let's give every barracks anywhere in this country. If you stepped out and you saw where those who superintend over safety are residing, it will be a place of dignity.
Minister of the Interior Ambrose Derry hinted on an 800 million cedi earmarked by government to retool the police service.
As I speak to you, the present ratio of police to civilian population is 1:848, which is far worse than what the UN requires of 1:500. Thanks to Mr. President, we're recruiting this year 4,000 police, unprecedented, the highest ever achieved in Ghana.
The project would be executed by Mandi Holdings, an Israeli company.
Let's now return to news on Dr. Mensa Osei and his role in Capital Bank, the now defunct Capital Bank. As the founder and general overseer of the International Central Gospel Church, Dr. Mensa Osei has broken his silence on the controversies in the banking sector, specifically his role in the collapse of the Capital Bank as board chairman of the defunct bank. Now, the details were captured in a report by Dr. Mensa Osei, but you are not joined on the phone lines by Christopher. That's John Gachi. He's an economist joining us on the phone lines now. Hello.
Hello.
Professor John Gachi, thanks for your time this afternoon.
Thank you.
Now, first of all, can you help us understand, in terms of with best practice, does a board chairman in a non-executive role, is he or she directly involved in the day-to-day operations of a company generally?
Well, it is very clear that the chairman of the board is not involved in the day-to-day operations of the company. But there is a way that the board chairman gets to know about what happens on a day-to-day basis based on the report that is presented to him, either by the finance team, by the CEO, by the internal auditor. So even though the board chairman is not involved in the day-to-day activity, what happens day-to-day is translated into a report, either by in the form of internal audit report or other report that is actually presented to the board.
Now,
therefore, it is inappropriate for a board chair to say that because he's not involved in day-to-day activity of the bank, nobody should question him about what has actually happened, leading to the action taken by the central bank.
So, given the explanation you've just given, does that mean that Dr. Mensa Osei should or can be indicted in this position and should be surcharged, given the fact that with your definition, a board chairman is in fact playing some form of a role or gets a briefing on the day-to-day operations in the company?
Well, beyond that, the board chair is supposed to be in close working contact with the CEO. There are some disbursements that cannot take place without the approval of the board chair. So the board chair is supposed to be, if you like, the chief monitor of what happens within the bank. And therefore, there is no question about trying to distinguish between executive board position and non-executive. In fact, the non-executive board position is also very crucial in ensuring accountability and safeguard of the entity. In fact, that is the main reason why normally when you look at the board composition, the non-executive position seems to be more than the executive position because they want to ensure proper accountability. So if you make that statement, what it means is that you have become a passive board chairman that looks on, and that is not very healthy for him by making that statement. In the case of indictment is based on criminal act that is committed, and when the investigating authority, in this case IOCO, have established that indeed criminal act has occurred and he's supposed to be in the know, then we can be talking about indictment. So because the matter is before the investigative body, I don't know what conclusion they have drawn. So I don't want to go to that area.
Well, yes, Dr. Mensa Osei has said that he submitted himself to the investigations of Yoko. So in your definition, he cannot disassociate himself from the affairs of the runnings of Capital Bank, so to speak.
It is not my definition. That is how board operates. You see, I mentioned internal audit. By the structure, the internal auditor is supposed to be responsible and accountable to the board. So when the internal auditor prepares report about what is going on, how operations are being undertaken over a certain period of time, it doesn't present it to the chief executive. It presents it directly to the board. And the chairman is the one who will lead discussion about the report that is given by the internal auditor. So unless the internal auditor also colluded in such a way that all those things that are happening have never been captured in any internal audit report. And beyond the internal auditor, which is captured even in the law, the CEO is supposed to be briefing the board anytime they meet and at will on a call by the board chairman. In fact, the board chairman is the one who is having interaction with the company through the CEO, perhaps on daily basis and at will. So the issue of trying to extricate yourself in terms of your corporate governance responsibilities should not even arise in the first place. What the Reverend should be focusing on is whether indeed those things that happen should have come to his notice, and through whatever lapses they have not come to his notice. But the moment the things come to his notice, it is very difficult to claim that you should be extricated or absolved from what happened.
Professor John Gashi, thanks for your time this afternoon.
Thank you.
In some other news, the Securities and Exchange Commission has ordered fund management companies to stop issuing fixed-term or guaranteed returns to clients. The SEC issued the order at a meeting with chief executive officers and board members of fund management companies in June this year.
The Securities and Exchange Commission indicated that fund managers had been given a 6-month window to unwind fixed-term investment on their books and migrate their clients to other options like managed account mandates and collective investment schemes. According to the Commission, it has advised fund management companies to direct persons interested in fixed-term guaranteed returns to banks and earn commissions for referring business if they didn't have collective investment schemes they were managing. This is because banks are licensed to issue fixed-term returns to clients. The Commission also said it has directed fund managers to direct clients interested in fixed-term returns to collective schemes like mutual funds and unit trusts.
It's still live here on Midday News. Let's now take a look at our MTN Vigil reports this afternoon as our citizen journalist Eunice Esha highlights the poor state of a road at Ashaman Kanewu in Accra.
This is the deplorable state of the Kanewu Road. Kanewu is a suburb of Ashaman in the greater Accra region. The road, since its construction, hasn't been tarred. Major concerns have been raised by residents of this area and also drivers to the Ministry of Roads and Highways to help tar up this road. But all of their worries and concerns are to no avail. The road is posing a serious threat to residents of this area and also to the drivers whenever it rains, as they are unable to drive through to their destinations. We're calling upon the Ministry of Roads and Highways to come to our aid to tar up this road for us. Nattie is reporting from Kanewu.
Encourage you to also send your Vigil report via WhatsApp number. It's 05514330044. That's 05514330044. We've got some more news on Midday Live coming up shortly. Stay with us. Well, Welcome back to Midday Live. Time now for some news from the world of business. And the Ghana Association of Bankers is justifying the decision by the Bank of Ghana to support well-managed local banks raise the 400 million cedis minimum capital requirement. President of the association, Al-Hassan Andani, explains that arguments that the central bank is bending on its own rules are flawed.
I think it's about government and a central bank being responsive to legitimate concerns raised that there's a need to have significant domestic presence. When I say domestic presence, local shareholders driven and led banks that will sort of be part of the financial intermediation. They would expect that after some time, when these banks have gained roots and properly managed and making profit, they would pay back, or the government will put those shares back onto the stock exchange for the generality of Ghanaians to participate in.
Al-Hassan Andani assured depositors that interventions by the central bank will ultimately safeguard their funds.
Part of the action taken by the central bank is to protect these depositors. As an association, we are happy they have done that all the time, and making sure the people in between, the central bank making sure that the intermittent reviews of our operations brings up these issues and they deal with it in a timely manner. So yeah, my plea with our depositors and the general public is that together with the central bank, the financial services industry has shown an absorptive capacity. Yeah. We're not saying there aren't things to be done. There are great things errors and things to be corrected. But it's good we're going the way we're going.
4 months to meet the deadline, some indigenous banks are reportedly working out modalities to reduce their staff strength. More than 3,000 professionals in the banking sector are expected to be affected in a move intended to, among other things, reduce the bank's operational cost as they consider many options, including measures and acquisitions, to raise the 400 million cedis minimum capital requirement.
Let's stay in the banking sector as the Institute of Chartered Economists Ghana has suggested officials of the Bank of Ghana, whose negligence led to the recent collapse of the 7 banks in the country, be held responsible and accountable. The Chief Executive Officer of the Institute, Gideon Amisa, has therefore called on the President to set up a commission of inquiry to investigate the collapse of the banks.
The Institute of Chartered Economists Ghana, ISEG, underscored the need for the central bank to fast-track the implementation of the International Finance Reporting Standards IFRS 9 impairment concept and the Basel III. The Chief Executive Officer of ISEG, Gideon Amisa, observed lack of best practice in the banking industry can be blamed for the collapse of the 7 banks.
Other developed countries are already in Basel III. And it is one of the reasons that we landed in this situation, because we were not operating according to international best practices. Look at corporate governance issues that are popping up. Again, the internal control risk management measures were not up to standard as far as the Basel III is concerned. These things are introduced to check some of these issues that we are currently facing as a country.
He said implementation of the Depositor Protection Scheme as stipulated under the Deposit Protection Act 2016 is long overdue.
So, the Deposit Protection Scheme requires that we establish a Depositors Protection fund, and then that corporation that would help the depositors in case there is a bank run or there is a bank failure that we are seeing. You lose your money, this fund will be available for you to fall on. You need that fund to be operationalized and the scheme to kick off. Uganda has already done it.
Ghanaian taxpayers have had to pay in excess of 8 billion cedis to finance the operations of the private sector business. The institute suggests the president sets up a commission of inquiry to investigate the collapse of the 7 banks.
If it is negligence which is causing us this amount, then of course you have to be answerable, and we don't have to even leave it there with the banking supervision, because the amount involved cannot be approved by the supervisory department. The board of the central bank at that time and the governor of the Bank of Ghana at that time would all have to be answerable to the Ghanaian, taxpayer.
Now, in some other news, hundreds of irate traders at Tiptoe Lane are in fresh protest are calling on the Trade Ministry to vigorously implement the law that prohibits foreigners from engaging in retail business in the country. Now, this follows an incident where 6 alleged Nigerians broke into several Ghanaian-owned shops this dawn. Now, the situation has heightened the already tensed retail relationship between Nigerian and Ghanaian traders, and that's what you're seeing on your screen there.
You can see what's going on. It's chaotic, and it's for one simple reason. The Ghanaian traders at Seko are livid. They are angry, and they are out for blood. What exactly are they asking for? Well, about 9 months ago, TV3 covered a demonstration here where the traders here at Tiptoe Lane were agitating against the supposed Nigerian influx of traders here. And now it seems the mess has hit the fan, and they're saying they can take it no more. We've been hearing bits and pieces of the story, but as you can see, the traders here, the Ghanaian traders, are unhappy.
Unfortunately, when we came to work this morning, we came to realize that this structure that I'm standing in front now, they've built a new shops behind this very structure. And then we know there was a Nigerian man who has financed that particular structure. And this very place, it's a
So basically, they're trying to clear these structures here and then leave the building that we see behind.
Exactly. And this very structure is for Ghanaians. They didn't give them any notice. And we came to realize that they've broken the shops. And there are other people that are selling clothes here. They too, they've broken in and they've lost other properties as well.
But have you been able to speak to the AMA about this particular situation? Because at the end of the day, the AMA has to sanction whatever is going on.
Oh, yeah, sure.
What did they say?
We've spoken to them. They were with us when we were locking other shops. So the AMA is aware. And then
AMA is not aware. You are not aware. Because they came here. Correct yourself. They came here. They say in the midnight they came to collapse all these things. It's not AMA. Because if AMA is aware, AMA will give us notice. But here is the case: the people that they collapse these things, they came here in the midnight to do all this kind of nonsense. So if it is AMA will give us notice. So I think AMA.
You're saying AMA has not given you any notice to demolish them?
Nothing.
What are you asking for?
The law must work. That's all what we are asking for. The GIPCI 2017 that prohibits foreigners from working in the market, that law must work. Because we can't have parliamentary law working whereby a foreigner cannot be, anybody with even dual citizens cannot be a parliamentarian. But then when it comes to the traders, we in petty trading, anybody at all can just come into the market.
So Solis Kwasi was in fact at Circle, and that's what you saw there. We'll stay on this issue longer as we've been joined in studio by Lord Apia Dankwa. He's the secretary of the Circle Traders Association, and Anthony Kelly Manso, the chairman of the Circle Business Group Association. Gentlemen, good afternoon and thanks for joining us.
Good afternoon.
You must be pretty upset and angry this afternoon. Share with me what exactly happened. You said you woke up at dawn, and what did you see?
Actually, like your reporter initially reported, that 8 months ago we had a demonstration concerning that same place. It's about a group of Nigerians who have gathered money to finance one Nigerian to build a shop behind in a house or in a place where Ghanaians have been trading there for the past 30 years. So we had a demonstration to protest against that. So the recent banter between Guta, the traders, and the Nigerians, which we are insisting that the GIPCI law must work. So this morning I was there when I had a call that some group allegedly to be AMA came to demolish the shops that have been there for the past 30 years, just to pave way for the Nigerians to open the shops and start businesses. So we were there and then we protested against it. We stood on our grounds. We decided that no, this is not happening. The GIPC law must work already. We are already agitating for that law to work, which we are having some discussions with the Trade Ministry, and it's ongoing. So it came to us as a surprise that a Nigerian could come with all what is going on, to come and eject Ghanaians who have been there for the past 30 years just to pave way for them to be in a retail market which they are not supposed to be in.
And Anthony, can you confirm that these are in fact Ghanaians? You said they came assisted by the AMA, so to speak. And so can you confirm that these are Nigerians? Because you said earlier that they are alleged Nigerians.
Okay. What we can confidently confirm is it's a financier of a Nigerian who has built that shop that is behind the one they've broken into. So we know for sure that that particular building is for a Nigerian. He financed that particular building. And for them to come and break into those people in front of that particular building, we can confidently confirm that it's a Nigerian that is behind that heinous act.
And Lord, like you said earlier, this has been going on for some time now. I mean, the banter between Nigerian and Ghanaian traders has been going on for quite a while. What exactly, at this point, do you want to be done, and do you think can be done to salvage the situation?
The solution to the problem is simple. We already have an existing law. That's a GIPC law. That law must work. That law must be allowed to work. If that law does not work, the traders, we are becoming fed up of the kind of things the Nigerians are doing in our system. We are becoming, and it's becoming irritating to the extent that they can organize money and build a shop and try to eject somebody who has been there for good 30 years. And the moment we start anything, you see the police in their numbers. You see the people that we voted for, that we believe that they should be acting on our behalf. They will rather be acting in favor of the Nigerians. Now we have become a laughing stock. We have become a mockery. They see us and they laughed at us because they believe that we cannot do what the Constitution gives us the right to do. As I speak to you now, we are fed up of the issues going on, and then if government is listening, they should set in, because tempers are so high, and with the slightest opportunity, the thing that might happen in Circle, you'll be amazed. As I speak to you now, they have shops more than Ghanaians in Circle. If you come to Circle, they have shops. They are selling on pavement. They are wholesaling and they are retailing on pavement. How can I go to Nigeria and go to Alaba market and be doing that? There is no way they will give me that opportunity. They bring people from Dubai. The people that will go and buy screens and phones from them to sell, they are also coming in our market.
So you are afraid that they're sending the Ghanaians away from the market?
They have succeeded in doing that as I speak to you now. Because now a shop in Tiptoe Lane, 5 years is going to 250,000. 2.5 billion Ghana cedi. What are we selling? If you don't take it, you'll be in your shop, like I said. A Nigerian has already built a shop behind some Ghanaian traders who are living in a tent just to eject them and be there. And now even in your shop, they will come and they'll be paying you money. Before your rent is due, before you realize, you'll be told to eject the place. Yeah. And then government is sitting on our way. Everybody is sitting on our way. The moment we try to take some actions, we are being told that we should stop. We should stop. But then we are here. We had an MP who had dual citizen, and he went to jail for having a dual citizen. How come the law can defend parliamentarians, but there's that same law that prohibits foreigners from being in the retail centers? That law, we are being told to hold on to it. It can't work there. We are not saying they should leave our country. We have the Malcolms and the Basalises. We have the Palace. They are all doing business. The fact that they are not in our market and they are not competing with us in the market, we don't have an issue with them. But for them to come wholesale and retail with us on the street,
you have a problem with that.
We have a very, very big problem with it.
Lord Apia Dankwa, thanks for your time this afternoon. And Anthony Kelly Manso, Chairman of the Circle Business Group Association, and Lord Secretary of the Circle Traders Association. Thanks for your input.
Thank you.
In some other news this afternoon, some local banks have pledged a 2.5 billion Ghana cedi credit facility to support business promoters participating in the government's One District, One Factory policy initiative. President Akufo-Addo made this known when he commissioned the Springs and Bolts Company Limited at Kase, established under the initiative. Here's a report by Ibrahim Abubakar.
The company is into the manufacturing of bolts, nuts, springs, and other machine parts. It exports close to 80% of its products to other West African countries. Considering the company's economic potentials, the government has absorbed it under the One District, One Factory projects. President Akufo-Addo said the One District, One Factory initiative has received massive support from the business community. He noted the Ministry of Trade and Industry is facilitating engagements between business promoters and financial institutions for the successful implementation of the policy.
The implementation of the 1D1F program has received significant support from the business community, as well as from both local and international financial institutions. As a show of support to the initiative, some local banks have pledged 2.5 billion cedis, whilst leading financial institutions from the United Kingdom, United States, and China have pledged over 700 million United States dollars in credit lines to be assessed by business promoters.
Minister of Trade and Industry Alan Kwejo-Tremanting said the factory has the potential for job creation and also has the capacity to generate foreign exchange. He said expanding the factory is a necessity.
Let's turn to some other developing stories this afternoon. As the Freedom Fighters, that's the Economic Fighters League group, the Speaker of Parliament has in fact petitioned the Speaker of Parliament to declare seats of 54 absentee members of Parliament. In June 2018, 54 members of Parliament were cited for crossing the 15 sitting absence without permission threshold on the first session of the 7th Parliament. This follows outcome of research by Odekro, a civil society organization that promotes accountability and responsiveness in government. Out of the 54 absentee MPs, 34 chronically absentee MPs double as ministers and deputy ministers of state. The absentee MPs include MP for Asin Central Ken Ohene Ejapong and MP for Laura Anthony Cabo, as well as MP for Ningo Pram Samuel Nattie George. Now, Ernesto Yeboah is the leader of the Economic Fighters League, and he joins us in studio to further discuss this issue. Ernesto, thanks for your time this afternoon.
Thank you very much.
So you're saying that some MPs are absent from Parliament. What exactly is the underlying basis for your request and petition to the Speaker?
Well, good afternoon to you and to your wonderful viewers. The issue we are putting forth is one that is based on the 1992 Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. And of course, the findings are from one civil society group called Odekro. They conducted this investigation and came up with a report some 3-4 months ago. And so we are simply asking the Speaker to invoke Article 97 1C of the 1992 Constitution. Because, I mean, Nattie, let's face it, if you missed, I mean, your job for 15 days without reporting or seeking appropriate permission, I'm not sure you'd be here with me, I mean, at the moment. So why is it that when it comes to the political class, the few privileged in our society, they, I mean, want the laws to apply very differently?
Well, Ernesto, how about in the instance, I mean, that some of these MPs are also ministers of state? Can they, in this context, be entirely blamed for their absenteeism?
Well, it's not for me to make that excuse. And even if that excuse exists,
is that excuse understandable?
Well, we can't accept it because, I mean, I didn't write the 1992 Constitution. At the time, I don't even know where I was. So, I mean, they put it inside. And we are told that we are organizing our society based on some democratic tenets. On the basis of democracy, we are all supposed to be equal before the law. Are MPs being equal before the law by violating the terms of this constitution and appearing to be going scot-free? That is a question that you and I must answer. And that is why we are putting, I mean, them on their foot. The Speaker of Parliament
must immediately declare the 54 seats vacant in line with the 1992 Constitution of the Republic of Ghana.
Ernesto, you're citing the Constitution, Article 78, Clause 1. Is that the only solution in your understanding of things? Do you think that having a constitutional amendment could also be the solution, as opposed to declaring those 54 seats vacant?
Why should we have a constitutional amendment? When somebody goes to steal cassava and that person is jailed 20 years, do we come to sit on television and ask for amendments of the Constitution?
To make way for those MPs who also double
to make way for people who steal cassava not to be jailed 20 years.
In this instance, they have double rules, both as MPs and as ministers.
We didn't ask them to double their rules. We didn't write the Constitution. It was voted, into acceptance in 1992 by the people then. So we are not going to pretend that we have all the solutions. But at least our people have decided to go by this document. We have all decided to abide by this document. We want it respected. When His Excellency Akufo-Addo was telling the people of Ghana to be citizens and not spectators, I'm sure this is what he was talking about, that we held our leaders to account.
So, Ernesto, in rounding up, in the context that Parliament doesn't go by and is unable to act on your petition, what's next for your group?
Well, there are many things that could be activated. The possibilities are endless. And it's not even just us. It's, the people of Ghana. These MPs were voted for by members of their constituents. They were challenged by others who lost to them. We expect that in the very least, those who lost to these MPs would begin to invoke that, constitutional, clause in the constituency, and even cause some amount of demonstrations here and there in order to alert them that the people are no longer sleeping. Of course, on our part, we can decide to go to court and invoke the constitutional, basis for interpretation and for sanctions to apply. The Speaker himself has absolutely no alternative but to respect the Constitution for which the people, brought them
very well, to respect the Constitution,
absolutely.
You say. Ernesto Yeboah, thanks for your time this afternoon. The leader of the Economic Fighters League. Thanks. Let's turn to some other news this afternoon here on Midday Live. Bring us the details of news from the world of sport shortly. Stay with us. In entertainment this afternoon, now there's a growing perception, in fact, that the Akan-based movie industry, Kumawood, has collapsed. Leader of the acting fraternity in Kumasi, Bill Asamoah, has laughed off such claims. To the actor, the industry is reeling temporarily because stakeholders have been slow in adapting to new marketing trends. He spoke exclusively with Owusu Arai.
You little boy want to teach me something? So I can help you one day, ma. I'm already finished. My body degree.
There have been several reasons that the local movie industry has taken a nosedive. Aside the massive influx of telenovelas, some industry players are convinced the activities of pirates have militated against the success of the industry. Bill Asamoah, however, thinks the industry is nowhere near collapse, explaining it is only facing rough times.
Unfortunately, I would never use the word collapse. We are facing challenges, yes. It happened to the music industry where they had to move away from depending solely on selling of CDs to, as we speak now, distributing their materials online.
CD and DVD sales have fallen to a record low, forcing many local movie producers out of business. Bill Asamoah, leader of the acting fraternity, wants movie producers to adapt and engage digital marketers to sell their materials online at a fee. To him, the era where producers engaged people to sell movie CDs in traffic is past.
For now, we should be looking at having a very good distributing channels. We should have good marketing strategies. I know of a couple of applications that are running now that are sharing and distributing our movies. I can make example of a Kumawood app. And then we have one other one coming up that is called Cineplus. all these applications, when you download onto your smartphones, you can access our movies and then watch them, and then just a token will be taken away from you. We are moving from one era to another, and that is where the difficulty lies. And those who do not understand the dynamics as I speak with you now, they are those who term it the industry is collapsing, quote unquote, and then they are making all sorts of noise. But
the gifted actor is again convinced having cinema houses across the regions will help producers tour as many places as possible and in the process recoup part of their investment.
We should have a couple of them in the other regions so that a producer like Poji could come out with a movie and then he'll go like he's going on a premiering tour. By the end of his tour, he could have made something substantial, and then he wouldn't stay at home and say the industry is sick.
Thank you, Father.
Oh, some interesting suggestions there. But still on entertainment, the How Much hitmaker Samuel Edu Frimpong, popularly known in the showbiz circle as Medical, failed to show up to perform at the biggest youth event, Roll Call, at the Aviation Social Center.
Rapper
Medical made a huge statement about the talked about event Roll Call. The AMG businessman indicated in a post that he would be at the event. His excited fans thronged the venue to witness the performance of the rapper, but were disappointed as he failed to show up on stage.
MDK is our big fan. We like MDK too much. MDK too much. We don't feel go out. We don't feel go out. We don't feel go out. We are not ready to sleep. We are not ready to sleep.
We're waiting for you right here to come and perform. Some came here around 9 a.m. So what do you want to tell them? Because they have been waiting for you for a long time.
The organizers are to be blamed because I was waiting for a phone call and then nothing was positive. But yeah, I knew the fans were here and then I still said I should come. They said the show was over, but I still wanted to come and see the fans. And forget to be.
He had to walk to the roadside to pick a taxi because the angry fans had massed up beside his car.
Lots of love there for Medical. And on that note, we round up Midday Live this afternoon from the News Hub here at Absentee Osei, Kanda. Thanks so much for watching. There's more news on our website. It's 3news.com. I'm Nattie. Enjoy the rest of your day.